Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you could join me for this journey. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next departure. And now, let's begin. Some truths aren't whispered. They crash into you like thunder. They're impossible to ignore, and even harder to forget. My truth found me at a wedding reception, hidden behind a drunken giggle and a phrase that has been on a loop in my head ever since. Let me rewind a bit. My name is Mark. I'm 47. I own a construction company in Texas that I built from the ground up after 15 years of working for someone else. I'm not a refined guy. I prefer jeans and work boots to suits, weekends in my Colorado cabin to 5-star resorts, and bourbon to wine. But I've built a good life. I own property in 3 states. I'm debt-free, and every inch of my success is the result of decades of grit, planning, and hard work. I dated Rachel for 2 years. She's 39, works in pharmaceutical sales, a woman who turns heads, smart, beautiful, ambitious. We met when my crew was renovating her company's office. The chemistry was instant. It hit fast and hard, the kind that makes your heart skip a beat and the world tilt. Things moved quickly. Within a few months, she was basically living with me. By 6 months, she had officially moved in. We settled into life together easily, predictably, calmly, confidently. I don't do anything halfway. If I'm in, I'm all in. She had access to everything: my finances, credit cards, keys to all my houses. I had even started drafting plans to build a house just for her, a custom home that reflected her style. She had a clear vision of what she liked, and I wanted to give her a place where she would feel truly at home. Her social circle was her colleagues and college friends, successful, polished women with sunrise yoga and bottomless brunch mimosas. Not really my crowd, but I showed up for her. Wine tastings, dinner parties, rooftop soirees in Austin. They were always polite to me, but with that awkwardness, you'd show to the guy who fixes your air conditioner. Friendly, but not sure how to include him. I didn't care. I wasn't there for them. After 2 years, I thought we were solid. We'd had those half-joking conversations about marriage that couples have when they're balancing between someday and maybe soon. I started thinking about it seriously. I was even looking for a ring. Not just any ring, a special one. I asked a friend who's a jeweler to create a unique piece, inspired by an antique necklace Rachel had once admired in a store window. One of a kind, just like her. And then came Brittany's wedding. Brittany is Rachel's best friend from college, her former roommate and sorority sister, the one who stood next to her at her first wedding 10 years ago. That marriage didn't last long. It ended after 2 years when her husband left her for a dental hygienist. This wedding was lavish. A ceremony at a big church in Dallas, 500 guests, a reception at a fancy hotel, a live band, an open bar, photo booths, signature cocktails, the whole deal. I wore my best suit, shook the right hands, smiled when I was supposed to, even danced. I did my part. Later that evening, we were standing with a group of Rachel's friends, mostly couples, all pretty drunk. A lull came in the conversation, and one of the husbands, I think his name was Chad, turned to us. "So, when's it your turn? Rachel's the next one down the aisle, right?" I didn't even have time to answer. Rachel let out a laugh, not her real laugh that I knew, but a strained, loud, performative one. She raised her glass in my direction and said, "Him." I'd rather be alone forever. Everyone burst out laughing. Someone clapped me on the back like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. "Wow, savage," one guy said. "Come on, Mark," added another. "She's just mad that Brittany's dress cost more than your truck." The laughter kept going. Rachel was laughing too, adding, "Seriously, can you guys see me spending my life in a construction trailer, printing out blueprints?" I didn't laugh. I didn't argue. I didn't make a scene. I just stood there, in the middle of these people for whom I was the punchline. I set my glass down on a table, made eye contact with Rachel for a second, and I walked away. Not just from the party, but from the relationship, from the future I thought we were building together. She was yelling after me, first lightly, then with anxiety, then with panic. But I didn't stop. In the hotel lobby, I called an Uber and turned off my phone. By that evening, I was at my cabin in Colorado. The one Rachel always said was too rustic to spend the night in. I sat on the porch under the stars, feeling a calm that was surprising for a man whose life had just imploded. By dawn, I had clarity. I drove back to Austin when I knew she would be at work. I called my lawyer, my financial advisor, and my bank, not out of revenge, but out of necessity. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. At the house, I packed my things: clothes, documents, family heirlooms. I left everything else. I have several houses. Furniture can be replaced. Time cannot. In my office, I gathered the blueprints for the house I was designing for us and the fabric samples she had chosen. In the bedroom, I took a small velvet box from my closet, the ring I was going to give her in a month. On the kitchen island, I left her key and a note. You have 30 days to find a new place. The utilities are paid through the end of the month. The credit card has been canceled. All communication goes through my lawyer. His details are below. No anger, no drama, just facts. I walked out, closing the door on a relationship that had meant very different things to each of us. At the hotel, I turned my phone back. On 37 missed calls, 52 text messages, all from her. Where are you? Why did you leave? It was a joke. We were just drunk. You're overreacting. Please come back. I didn't reply. I blocked her number. The next day, she showed up at my office, crying, frantic. You can't just disappear. I'm going out of my mind. I heard everything I needed to hear last night. You said you'd rather be alone forever than be with me. I'm just respecting your choice. It was a joke, she shouted. That's what happens at weddings. Why do you have to be so dramatic? It wasn't a joke to me, and it wasn't a joke the way you made me a laughingstock in front of everyone. Her desperation turned to anger. So that's it? 2 years down the drain over one stupid comment? That's pathetic, Mark. Grow up. I'm growing up, I replied calmly. I'm growing up by no longer needing someone who doesn't need me. Of course I need you. She stepped toward me. I took a step back. No, Rachel, you don't need me. You need the life I provided for you. They're not the same thing. She left in tears, saying this wasn't over. She was right, but not in the way she thought. The next few days were chaotic. Calls from her friends, a visit from her sister, even her mother called to say, "Women say silly things sometimes. Don't throw it all away over this." I listened politely. I remained firm. This wasn't a break. It was a final decision. On the 9th day, Rachel started to get it. The credit cards were dead. Access to the accounts was shut down. My lawyer had formally notified her of the eviction. Reality set in. The messages turned angry and accusatory. You're a manipulator. You're insane. You never loved me. I didn't respond. After all, it was words that broke this, and words couldn't fix it. On the 12th day, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Vanessa, her sister. She's a mess. She's crying, not eating, sleeping on my couch. Will you please just talk to her? I've said all I need to say, I replied. She made her choice. She loves you, Vanessa said quietly. She's heartbroken. She's grieving her comfort, not me. There's a difference. That's a cruel thing to say. Her feelings for you were real. Then she should have remembered that before she humiliated me in front of everyone. I've never seen her like this, Vanessa sighed. She's strong, I said. She'll be okay. I was sitting in my office, looking out the window. I didn't feel smug. I just felt certain I'd done the right thing. 2 weeks after our would-be wedding date, my property manager called. Rachel had shown up with a moving truck, trying to take furniture and artwork. He stopped her. She caused a scene, and the neighbors called the police. I thanked him and asked for the security footage. The video showed Rachel screaming, trying to push past him, while police officers calmly explained she had no legal right to be there. The next morning, a letter came from my lawyer. Rachel had hired an attorney and was demanding a share of the house, citing her contributions to our shared life. I forwarded old emails where, a year prior, she had refused to be on the title, saying she didn't want the paperwork headache. A week later, her lawyer dropped the claim. 2 months passed. Rachel is now renting a more modest apartment, far from the life she'd grown accustomed to. I hear she tells everyone I overreacted and couldn't take a joke. The same friends who laughed that night now support her version of events. But it doesn't change anything. I remember every word and the truth behind them. The ring is in my safe. I'll have it remade someday when the hurt has faded. I redesigned the house plans. It's completely mine now. No shared dreams, no compromises. Last week I ran into Vanessa at a restaurant. "She still misses you, you know," she said. "She knows she messed up." "I hope she's doing well," I said. And I meant it. But that chapter is closed. "She's struggling," Vanessa added. "She lost her job, can't focus. She's still living with me." I nodded. I felt a flicker of compassion, but no doubt she would be okay. Vanessa hesitated, then almost whispered, "I was at that wedding. What she said. It wasn't a one-off. She's been talking about you like that for years. You just never heard it." It wasn't a shock. I'd had my suspicions. But hearing it confirmed finally put everything in its place. The pain I'd been carrying wasn't from the public humiliation, but from finally admitting the truth. What I thought was a connection was just a story I had told myself. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to simply set your glass down and walk away. Not to make a point, but because you finally understand the price of staying is your own self-respect. Rachel still tries to contact me through other numbers sometimes. I hear she's sure I'll come back. But she doesn't understand. This wasn't a competition. There's no winner. It's just over. Some people say I was too harsh. I disagree. I was decisive. When someone shows you who they are, especially when they think you aren't listening, believe them the first time. To clarify for those who've asked, yes, I owned the house long before Rachel moved in. We weren't married, and this state doesn't recognize common-law marriage. Legally, she had no claim. Why didn't I confront her right there at the wedding? What would it have accomplished? To let her spin more lies or create a bigger scene? I let my actions do the talking, and they spoke volumes. Were there earlier signs? Yes. The little jokes about construction guys, the awkwardness at her family functions, the side eyes she'd give my work boots. I'd convinced myself she'd come to appreciate these things about me. I was wrong. Some have called me cold for not giving her a second chance. But protecting your dignity isn't coldness. It's a necessity. It's been 3 months now. Life has found its rhythm. The new house is being built. The foundation is poured. The frames are up. I spend my weekends at the site, making sure every detail matches my vision. There's a special satisfaction in building something from the ground up, with no compromises. Rachel has stopped calling. Her sister texted once to say she's seeing a therapist, trying to work through her issues. I wished her well sincerely. Holding on to anger is exhausting. I need that energy for other things now. I've started dating again, slowly. I recently had dinner with a landscape architect I met through a project. She's sharp, grounded, and genuinely interested in what matters. It's early days, but after everything, it's a relief to sit across from someone and not feel like you have to pretend to be anyone other than who you are.